Bridget McKenzie, great to have you on the show. You're on the precipice of getting back into cabinet, if all the gossip is to be believed. Under what conditions would or should the National Party accept net zero?
Well, Peter, great to be with you. It is definitely a conversation that hasn't yet been had with the second party of government. I made that point last week. And if we are moving towards a net zero position by 2050, then we've been saying for a very long time the Prime Minister, the Liberal Party, needs to come and have that conversation, because we need to understand how it will impact our communities and who will pay the price. Right now, this international agenda is being set by rich, industrialised G7 countries who all have access to zero emissions energy sources such as nuclear and hydro, and we just don't have that opportunity for us. So we've got to be very careful that we're not sleepwalking into something that really sets us up to fail as a nation, because the devil will be in the detail. This isn't about ideology. This is actually about putting the national interest first and focusing on what are those international talks we're having in those fora to ensure we set up a framework that benefits us and doesn't actually discriminate against countries like us.
Look, I remember you were there too, many of the previous debates on climate issues inside the coalition, and if it wasn't for the National Party, I think Australia would be in a far worse place tonight. I guess the challenge with 2050, I mean, governments can't even get modelling in the forward estimates right. How confident is anyone you could model things out to 2050? I mean, isn't that the concern, that we're not really clear what the price is we're being asked to pay in order to sign up to these international agreements?
Yeah, absolutely, Peter, you're dead right. And we did have an enormous battle to really wind back that carbon tax back in 2011, and it was thanks to the coalition government that Australians haven't been having to pay an inordinate amount of price for that, because we know it's going to end up being agriculture, the mining industry, manufacturers that will end up paying the price. We need to be very, very firm on this. We as a nation always meet and beat our international targets. We are an exemplar international citizen, whereas other countries are very quick to make these commitments and promise the world where they haven't even been able to deliver their Kyoto commitments, let alone Paris and beyond to Glasgow. So we need to be very, very careful on what we're going to sign up to. And I don't think the National Party, and the National Party I know, will not be signing up to something on a wing and a prayer and a promise, because it's our people that get impacted, like they did with Telstra and a number of other policy decisions. It's about who pays the price, Peter, and my job, I've been sent to Canberra. Every National Party MP has been sent to Canberra to stand up for our communities, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
I noticed today in the Senate there were amendments introduced to a government bill. This is in relation to Water Murray-Darling Basin Plan. Some might say interesting timing. I might say it's a shot across the government's bow. Was this a reminder that you have the ability to hold up legislation if you're not listened to?
Well, Peter, it genuinely was and is a serious issue. As you know, the Murray-Darling Basin Plan's implementation over the last 10 years has decimated rural and regional communities in the basin. There's been over 10,000 agricultural jobs lost in those communities, 5,000 in our home state of Victoria, and New South Wales and South Australia have had significant losses too. We've been hearing from our communities for a long time, and I'm talking about myself, Perrin Davey, Drummy and Anne from Mallee and Nichols in Victoria, about the devastating impacts. But without these bills, the Water Act and the Murray-Darling Basin Plan Act coming to Parliament, we were unable to actually move amendments to them and do what our community wants us to do. So it is actually a coincidence of timing. We've had these amendments drafted for a very long time. We've been very forward-leaning as a group in our communities for months and months and months. Drummy and Anne had their own private members' bill last year in the House. So this is not something that's as a result of the decision taken by the party room on Monday. This is something that we had always planned to do if those bills were presented to Parliament and gave us the opportunity. So we want to just really make sure we get the great environmental outcomes promised by the plan without decimating our country communities. And we've now got the science to be able to do that. These amendments help back the science, not to take any more water from farmers, but still achieve those critical environmental outcomes we all want.
I have to leave it there, but you sound more and more like a water minister in the offing. We'll see if that comes off tomorrow, I presume. Bridget McKenzie, thank you for your time.